To Congressman Adam Schiff, Democrat from California, ranking member of the Intelligence Committee. Congressman, thanks for being with us.
It's good to be with you.
We have a lot to talk about because you are fresh off of maybe a mini tweet storm, if you will, about some of the president-elect's comments about Russia that he said earlier this morning on the Today Show and to Time Magazine. I want to pull it up on screen so that our viewers know what we're talking about here. The president-elect denying Russian involvement in the DNC and Clinton email hacks, saying, "I don't believe it," quote, "I don't believe they..." You are not buying that, Congressman. Why not?
I don't think anybody's buying it that's gotten an intelligence briefing, and sadly, Donald Trump has gotten an intelligence briefing, so he knows better. And this is deeply concerning. It's one thing when he doesn't get regular briefings, and he hasn't been, but it's another when he actually does get briefed and he ignores what the intelligence community's best assessments are. There's really overwhelming evidence of the Russian involvement in these hacks, and by denying it, continuing to deny it, he has essentially become really a propaganda piece for the Kremlin. They would love to sow doubt about their involvement in our campaign, and the president-elect is giving them the most phenomenal cover. But I find this so deeply disturbing because if during the campaign and now after the campaign he is still willing to disregard the plain intelligence, it means that when it doesn't suit him, he will ignore it. He will decide to choose his own facts. And you simply can't have that in a commander-in-chief. There's going to come a time in this country where we have a national security crisis. The American people are going to need to believe him, and this makes it very difficult.
Congressman, you talk about the plain evidence, which you described as the overwhelming evidence. Walk us through what some of that is.
Well, unfortunately, I can't go into the classified information, but I can tell you this. When we're briefed by the intelligence agencies, they will give us not only what their best assessment is, but they'll tell us what level of confidence they have in the intelligence. They'll tell us what the sources are. They'll tell us whether it's corroborated. It comes from multiple sources. And here, I think there's no question that the Russians were involved in hacking our institutions. The Secretary of Homeland Security, the Director of National Intelligence, they came out with an extraordinary public statement weeks ago attributing not only these hacks to the Russian government, but saying that they could not have taken place but for approval at the highest levels of the Kremlin. That is not something you hear top officials say unless they feel that the intelligence is overwhelming. So for the president-elect to say this, you know, frankly, it's very consistent with what he said earlier in the week, which was that he thought millions of illegal immigrants voted. It tells us basically that the facts don't matter to this president-elect. It's more important for him to say what he thinks that he can sell to the American people or what's in his personal benefit, and those are not qualities you want to see in a commander-in-chief.
So, Congressman, in your view, is this a function, in your opinion, of the president-elect not trusting the intelligence briefings, if this is the information he's receiving? Is this, as one senior intelligence official has previously told NBC, willful, essentially, on his part? What's your take?
I think it's completely willful. I think this is someone who can't accept the fact, for example, that he lost the popular vote and therefore has to fabricate millions of illegal immigrants voting, who can't accept the fact that the Russians interfered and that those hacks and disclosures may have helped his campaign. He can't accept that, and so he's going to deny it. Essentially, anything that is critical of him or doesn't reflect well on him, he will simply refuse to accept. And this is, you know, this is quite frightening because it means this man is not growing into the office. We only have a matter of weeks before he becomes president of the United States. You would hope that he is now impressed with the seriousness of this office, but the fact that he's willing to continue to peddle falsehoods or carry Kremlin water is really alarming.
Quickly, before we move on to other topics, Congressman, I know that there's not much you can say about this evidence because it is classified. But to people who may be watching this and who may be saying, well, you know, we understand that you get these briefings, that the evidence is classified, is there anything you can share about, if you were making a case to the American people about why they need to make sure to trust you on this, to trust intelligence officials, that there is a link between Russia and this hacking?
Well, they don't have to trust me on it, and I think if you ask my Republican colleagues on the Intelligence Committee, they have no doubt about Russian involvement in this as well. It really is quite undeniable. So they don't have to take my word for it. The Director of National Intelligence has spoken to this. The Secretary of Homeland Security has spoken to this. And I don't think the facts are really in dispute. Now, one of the reasons why this is so damaging is we have had problems with our intelligence in the past. Our intelligence on Iraq turned out to be dead wrong in terms of their ongoing weapons program. And I think there have been a lot of improvements in the intelligence community since. But for the president to so cavalierly disregard this intelligence now will cast grave doubt on the public's willingness to accept when the intelligence community comes forward and makes public attribution, but also, more importantly, will, I think, have problems accepting what the President of the United States says if he's so willing to disregard